People aren't perfect. So in the next few videos, you're going to be shown mentors and allies paired for you based on your genius path. And before we do, I really want to speak on this topic because in our culture, and really it's just human nature, it's human nature to idolize our heroes. It's human nature to put them on a pedestal that they're these superheroes that can do no wrong and they're always doing the right thing. And it's just wired within us. Now, the reality is that people aren't perfect. And I've seen this through the genius research of going through tons and tons and tons of hours for each different genius in history. And I'd look through the lens of seeing their genius path. And I know that every genius path has resistance and genius. Everybody does. So everybody's got a dark side to them. Now, the idea is that as we become more actualized, our resistance becomes less and less. That dark side becomes more and more alchemized into the genius and being the good person that you want to be, even in challenging situations. So that being said, there's a road to be, there's 99% of people, there's a road to becoming who you want to be. And the mistakes that we make, the character traits that we no longer liked, we had to work on those to, and this is we as in everybody who's a human, that's our path, to work on those and to hopefully become the person that we want to become. So in the genius research, even these people that have done phenomenal things, incredible things, they had resistance, they had dark side parts of their character that came out throughout their journey. And then even as they were at the peak, it still came out as well. So I've gone through biographies of like Steve Jobs, Elon Musk, Leonardo da Vinci, Andrew Carnegie, John D. Rockefeller, and Martin Luther King Jr., and it's going to go on and on and on. So for an example, like Steve Jobs, we know that he's created amazing things. We just know he's created amazing things. So one of the things though about his personality was the harshness and the just being horrible to people. And for a while it was kind of thought that that's what you had to do to create a massively successful company, and that's not the case. And pretty much everybody knows that now. But for an example, as I'm reading his biography and going through all these different stories, I'm seeing the 10-1 flash. I'm seeing, okay, intense, on the genius side, intense standards for perfection of what the highest standards could be, and not yielding to the lower standards. And we see that with like him innovating the products that he did that just were a totally different level than the ones around him at the time. But the dark side, the resistance of the 10-1 is insane amount of judgment, harsh judgment of others, belittling them, making them nothing if they made a mistake. So this is just an example, and that was just one of them, and so when you're getting introduced to your mentors to the genius technology, don't expect them to be perfect, because there's nobody who's perfect. And in spirituality, there's this thing of like ascending and turning into a beam of light. And so I just, kind of playfully say, if a person hasn't ascended and turned into a beam of light, then they still have something to work on here. And that's all of us. So as long as whoever's here, we still got something to work on in some way. Now, hopefully, those things that we work on get smaller and smaller and smaller, and as time goes on. So that's what I'd say for moving forward. And I believe there's one other item, which is, since I don't expect my mentors to be perfect or anybody to be perfect, I also know that a lot of times I can learn certain things from people that they're really good at one area of their life. Maybe their best self shines through, their genius shines through at that area of their life. But then other areas of life, I can kind of see where the cracks are happening. I'm kind of seeing the things that they need to work on. So throughout my journey, I never threw that person away. I never just discarded everything they did, because I knew that we can, just like with the masterpiece quiz, we can be at green or blue perhaps at different parts of our business, but then there's maybe those red parts that we still need to clean up, and that's just part of being human. That's just working on these things. So that's the thing to keep in mind, is that we don't judge ourselves by, okay, if the person isn't green or blue at everything of their life, then they're nothing. No. But that's kind of the way we judge usually heroes. If they make one mistake, then they're nothing. And conversely too, and this and on the other side, what happens with human nature is to vilify people who've done horrible things and just kind of write off them that they've never done anything good in their life. And just what I've seen again, that that's a very detrimental mindset, because it doesn't allow us to truly understand what a person's motives happened, how that darkness came through in their life, and how it took front and center stage. What happens if we just write off people who've done bad things and say, oh, there's nothing they've ever done good ever, is that it's giving people a pass. And it's not allowing us to understand that, okay, usually these things happen in increments, and they happen in piece by piece by piece, where the person's resistance comes more and more to the forefront. And there's key things that happen along the way that push that person to that way. So when you're looking at mentors, when you're looking at allies, remember, people aren't perfect. Of course, though, we want to align with the people that are doing the right things for the right reasons. Absolutely. And to really treat the mentor as almost like a buffet. Ideally align with the ones that are purpose, passion, and profit, and understand that they're still working on things in their life as well, and that and kind of treat it as, what can you learn from them? And since you're having this awareness and probably things you've gone through in your life before this, maybe there's things you're noticing that they need to learn, and that's great. It's like when there's a mentor-apprentice relationship, there's times where the mentor absolutely learns from the apprentice. So that's something to notice as well, is that maybe you see certain things at certain areas where mentors saying, okay, maybe they could grow in their area, but of course other areas they are really have done the things that you want to do. So those are some seeds to plant, food for thought, and I'll see you in the next video.